Hello, girlies, guys, and bees. Welcome. I'm back in the chair, back by the PC, which means I've got to show you the screen. So, let's open it up. I came across this the other day. It is Fantasy Book Reviews, top 100 fantasy books. I was a huge fan of Fantasy Book Review back in the day. I think it's the same website I used to go to all the time. They're like the reviewers of fantasy books. So I came across this and I started going through it. I was like, oh, I wonder how many I've read. And I went, no, do it for the content. So I'm going to go through it with you and tell you which ones I've read, and I'm going to tick them off. I've got a little thing off to the side here to mark which ones I've read, and I'm going to see how many I've done. So, number one is this really their number one, Game of Thrones? Can we go through to the review? I'm not going to do this for everyone because we have 100 books. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Wow. They gave. You know what? Fair enough. I'm not gonna knock Game of Thrones. I do think it's a really good book. And I actually kind of wish I'd read it before the show, and then I would have got those shocks and twists via reading rather than the show, but it is what it is. So I've read the first two and then decided it's not really for me. But on top of that, the books, I just felt like I was experiencing the show, so I just didn't feel a need to read as well as watch the show. So that's what I do. But yes, let's tick this off in my little box. Yes. Color Magic by Terry Pratchett. Pratchett. I am sorry to say, no. I don't think I might have started reading this at school, and I had a thing with Pratchett at school. I didn't really get on with his writing that well, and that feeling carried on when I read Good Omens, and I suspect it was his writing rather than Gaiman's because I've read a lot of Gaiman now. I will go back to Pratchett though. I really want to read Hogfather at Christmas, and I want to see if I can get back to it because everything I've heard about Terry Pratchett, it's stuff that I should love. It ticks all of my boxes in principle. So I'm going to give it another go because I know people love him. Lord of the Rings, yes. Tick, yes, we read Lord of the Rings. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, yes. One of my favourite books of all time, and I want to reread it this winter. I absolutely adore it. I love the use of like fantasy footnotes. And I love the story. I love having this really crotchety older guy. He's just like, he's so British and his fussiness. Yeah, I love it. Name of the Wind. Wow, you know, this was huge when it came out. Yes, I've read it. I want to go back to it at some point because I feel like everyone trashes on it these days, and I just remember having a really good time. So I kind of want to see if it holds up for me or whether I now agree with other people. Like I kind of hope it does hold up for me because I remember enjoying it. Liza Looks Mora, yes. Fantastic book. A book I actually got my husband to read, which does not happen very often. But it's fantastic. This, I'm going to say a phrase that I kind of hate, but it is a fantasy for people who don't like fantasy, or it is a good introduction to people not used to fantasy because it's very funny. It feels very grown up and adult. It's got these like almost not thriller, but basically it's a heist book, and you have these twists and turns, and the magic aspect is very light. So if someone's very turned off by lots of fantasy stuff, if they don't like the Dungeons and Dragons side of fantasy, they could try this. I mean, I love a lot of magic in my fantasy, but there is so much to love about this. It's fantastic. Next, American Gods. Yes, I read it last year. I have a weird thing with Gaiman where I wouldn't say any of his books are my absolute favourites, but I always walk away enjoying them. And this was that, and I do think it might be the best one of his that I've read, so I agree with it being here. This season, I've just read this season. It's fantastic. Absolutely lives up to its hype. Give it a read. It again, like Liza Lamora, it kind of shows where fantasy can be now when we go beyond the sort of like old tropes that we were stuck to for a long time. Sea Quartet, I've had the book for so long. It's on my long-term TBR shelf, and I really do want to get to it. And I want to read other Ursula K. Le Guin stuff as well, because everything I just know about her as a person, I really respect and appreciate. Did I mark off? Yes, I did, but not that one. And the same with Robin Hobb. She's one of those authors I've not tried yet, and I really want to try. So I'm sorry, I'm semi letting down the ladies of fantasy, but I will. These are both on my TBR. Don't you worry. Gardens of the Moon, yes. Like Game of Thrones, I've read the first two, but not more. And I've been itching to get back to Malazan. At this point, it's probably going to be next year. But I really want to get back to it, and I'm just going to start from scratch because I think it's been 10 years since I started. It's funny that they've put Gardens of the Moon, because I know a lot of the Malazan fans say that's the worst. But Malazan fans, I think you're being too harsh. I think Gardens of the Moon is a really good book still. Northern Lights, yes. If you've not read Northern Lights, well, if you have to read all of the Dark Materials, because the places that trilogy goes are amazing. I have so much love for this series. I reread it a couple years ago, and it's so complex for something that a lot of children read. Oh, and I disagree with this. This says, although it was not written for children, he just wrote it. It just got marketed as a children's book because it has a child protagonist, but it was not written specifically for kids, but they can enjoy it. If you've not got around to this, you should. Perdita Street Station. I'm in the middle of a reread, and I'm having so much fun with it. I will talk about this more in another video. I absolutely adore it. It is a lot, but oh my god, it's the kind of book. Hold on, I'm gonna take some tea with the coaster attached. No, save the coaster. Okay, I'm gonna try and I'll talk about this, and then we'll try and quicken the pace after this. But this is one of those books that makes me jealous that I don't write like this. There's so much to appreciate and adore, and like the crazy ideas, the writing style, the sort of like, he clearly has a lot of emotion and about politics that is in there that I really appreciate more on a reread. Yeah, it's so good. Right, okay, let's cook in the base. So yes, I've marked that. No, Lord Felsbane. I think, did I start? Oh no, I I owned this book for the longest time, and I eventually got rid of it because I realized I was just not going to touch it. Yes, of course, I'm a millennial. It'd be weird if I hadn't read Harry Potter. Gunslinger, no, but on my TBR and has been for a while. I remember people at school really enjoying this. But I know it's a long series, so I want to make sure I've cleared off other series, as in a lot of Brandon Sanderson, probably. And speaking of, Way of Kings, another one of my absolute favorite books. I adore this book, and even though I only read it like a year and a half ago, I still really want to reread it because I just love it that much. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna mark it. I'm pretty sure I did when I was a kid. And I read a couple of the Narnia books and decided I thought they were boring. Sorry. Blade itself, no, I haven't. Joe Abercrombie is another one of those authors who's like top of my list to try. I haven't tried him yet. Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. Yes, I have. I read it in time for the show. Wasn't a big fan, and I am like that about whether to read the third book or not. I feel like I should. I'm leaning towards I should, but the last one felt like a bit of a slog, so I gotta time it. Good Omens, yes. Like I said, I had issue. Why did it say just Terry Pratchett? That's weird. Like I said, I had issues with the style of certain things. I really hated the chapters with the kids, like really disliked them. But I adored the show because I felt like writing style is suddenly not an issue, and then I got to see all of those ideas that I liked brought to life. So I massively recommend the show. Once Future King, no, I haven't. Maybe I should, to try like a more classic fantasy. Under Heaven by Guy Gavriel Kay. I recognize the name. I've definitely not read it, but I recognize the name. Oh. Will this drop for you? I feel like I've seen a different cover for this because the title sounds familiar, but yeah, I've not read it and I don't recognize that thing. 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. I haven't. I've heard that it's very different from Broken Earth. Might give it a try at some point, but it's not top of my list. I'm happy with Broken Earth for now. I've had a great time with that, so I'll just leave it as that for now. Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, I read it this year. Loved it. It was just great. And yeah, everyone's right. It is a great intro into adult fantasy. Either if you've taken a break from it for a while, or if you're more used to reading YA stuff and you want to transition into adult, it's perfect for that. Shadow of the I know Gene Wolfe, but Shadow of the Torturer. Yeah, I am not familiar with this one. I'm gonna jump to the Amazon thing again. That kind of looks familiar. But no, it's no for me. Jade City. Yes, I have read Jade City. You know, this is interesting because now I'm thinking about it. I'm pretty sure I have read through this website's top 100, but it would have been at least 10 years ago. And there's so many books from within the last 10 years that are really high up on this list. And I just think that's really fantastic to see. To just just to gush for a minute, the growth of this genre in the last decade has been amazing. Like, I feel like I stepped away for a while and came back, and suddenly this whole revolution had happened, and we had so many different types of fantasy. It's just an amazing time to be a fantasy fan. It really is. But having said that, I actually didn't get on that well with Jade City, and I don't want to carry on for weirdly personal reasons. No, I'm not in a gang, but it was more to do with that, you know, characters having to be part of the family business, and that aspect frustrated me for reasons I'm not going to go into. But yeah, totally personal, but I would absolutely recommend it to anyone else in a heartbeat because the writing was fantastic. So don't worry about me and my personal hang-ups. I recommend it to everyone to go enjoy it. Magician by Raymond E. Feist. No. Tigana, another one by Guy Gavriel Kay. No. Last Unicorn, no. I think this only just came out in the UK as like a special edition. Yeah, I think this one bypasses for some reason, other than the movie. I've seen the movie. What's Shipped Down? I've seen the movie. It's really good, but not read the book. I've not read the book. I got a sudden flashback to a school library, but it wasn't the book I was borrowing. It was the VHS tape. But I am curious to read it. I am actually really curious to read the sort of like animal books of those, like The Animals of Farthingwood. I remember reading those, and I'd be really interested in reading them again to see what they're like. The Magicians by Lev Grossman. Nope. I don't think I read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, so I'm gonna leave that blank. I've not read The Princess Bride by William Goldman, and I'm sorry, I've not seen the film either. I know that's like heresy to a lot of people, but I've just one of those films I've just never gotten around to, and I know a lot of people love it. It'll happen at some point, I just don't know when. I'm sorry. Kushal's Dart, no. The name rings a bell though. Oh, but I was not expecting that cover. Turbulent Path before her, One That All Touched the Life of Queen's Princess. Yeah, I don't know. Night Circus, no. I know this book was huge for a while, but there was nothing. Nothing to pull me into reading it. Nothing to make me take that step. So no. June, yes. If you've seen any of my videos, you'll know by now that I'm a big old June fan. Oh my god, another Guy Gavriel Kay book. Is this going to be a thing now where I'm going to have to read one of his things? City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. No? There's quite a few actually now that I've not heard of. I have heard of this one, Golem and the Genie. I I haven't read this one though. I would like to get to experience Jewish and Arabic folklore, so that part of it really interests me. So yeah, I'd like to read that. Dragonflight by Emma Caffrey. I think I did, but I don't know if I finished it. It was that long ago. I'm gonna be generous to myself. It's been a while since I've ticked something, so I will tick it. I think I at least gave it a go, but it was a long time ago. Bone Collapse by David Mitchell. No. Hobbit by Tolkien. Yes. The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. This was off market, but this was a DNF for me. I think I gave it like 150 pages and just wasn't that interested. I think it was maybe just a little bit too old-fashioned fantasy. I don't know. Which is weird because I've heard people in the last couple of years sort of pull it out of the ether and start praising it, but I just remember being kind of bored. Yeah. Black Company by Glenn Cook. No, because I have a feeling these didn't really come out in the UK. I only found out about these when we were living in Toronto. So I've been intrigued by them purely because I'd never seen them before, but I never got around to reading them. Silmarillion. I won't mark this one. I attempted it a long time ago, but I was too young and it read too much like a history book. I would like to go back to it, but yeah, I've not read it yet. Titus Grown by Mervyn Peake. The Gormenghast trilogy. I've heard of the Gormenghast trilogy. What is with these covers? I feel like these are all covers I've never seen. The paperback looks the same. No, I haven't. Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks. No. Circe. No, I'm not. This is weird. I'm kind of into some mythology stuff, but I'm not that interested in like retellings of like Greek mythology. Yeah, Song of Achilles intrigues me just because I know it was so massively popular, but yeah, it's just not top of my list. The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. I think this is one that just sat on my shelves for years, and I eventually just said, like, I'm not going to get around to it. Stormfront. I have read that, and I really need to get back to reading the series because I've only read the first one, and again, everyone says the first one's just kind of meh, and then it gets really good as it gets going. But you know what? My priorities keep changing and things keep coming to the top that interest me. I'll get around to it. Hopefully next year. Rivers of London. Yes, I love Rivers. I didn't realize when I started this video I'd have such trouble speaking. I'm sorry. Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. I love the series. I might be behind now though, because there's so many like comics and short stories that it's made it difficult to know what's come out that is just the books. So I need to go back to a guide and check my like Kindle to see what the last book I read was. But they're really fun. They're one of the few times that I really enjoy a lot of pop culture references. You know, the one that I tell my husband about is the fact that he meets these people in like the third or fourth book that can manipulate like the ground, And he just starts calling them earthbenders and references Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, love it. Have I read James the Giant Peach? I cannot remember. I might have. I've read so much Roald Dahl as a kid. I'm gonna say no, just because I've given myself marks for a DNF or for half-read books. Well, maybe. I've given myself a mark for maybe higher up on the list, so I'm gonna say no for this one, but I just can't remember. Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence. No. Swan Song by Robert McCammon. No. The Stand. No. I am intrigued. It's really annoying. I feel like the books that by Stephen King that most intrigue me are the ones that are like 1,000 pages and are a huge commitment. So it's not happened yet. Ocean at the End of the Lane. No. I don't know if I will get around to this or not. The further away you are from childhood, be it through age or experience, the more you'll connect to the story. Maybe someday. Yeah. I'm definitely not done with Neil Gaiman, so maybe. All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. No? And I've not published 2016. That kind of looks familiar. But no. No. It by Stephen King. See what I said about The Stand. I did start reading this at one point, but probably only got about 30 pages in. I was debating reading it this October, but I didn't want to. I'd effectively have to put the rest of my reading on hold for a month, and I didn't want to do that. Ninth Reign by John Williams. No, but I might do someday. Poppy War. No, but I bought it. I've got a signed copy. I've signed because I got Babel signed at the same time. A Brightness Long Ago, a guy, Gabriel Kagan. Someone loves this guy. No, Priory of the Orange. I'm actually surprised that's not higher up. Yes, I've read that one. Raven Tower. No, we were doing so well early on. 2000 Dozen January. No. Ninth House. Yes, I am kind of surprised to see this on here because I feel like I'm one of those people who loves it a lot more than some other people. It feels like a bit like Mistborn was. It feels like a kind of book that's a good step from YA to something more adult. Like, there's some really dark stuff that happens, but it's also quite a fairly quick-paced mystery. I really enjoyed it. Some kind of fairy tale. No. Gideon the Ninth. Yes. Yeah, I would not have that below Ninth House, but I'm just happy it's there. Gideon the Ninth, never read anything else like it. It's such a weird book and hard to describe. It's like necromancers in space. Then you get these meme references, and then like the last half, 2/3 of the book turns into this like Agatha Christie-esque murder mystery. Well, there's lots of people in the same building and someone dies and then more and more people die, and you're like, who's killing everyone? Which was a big surprise. Yeah, it was great. There's just nothing like it. Book Thief, I haven't feel like I should, because it was, if it's what I'm thinking it is. Yeah. I feel like I should read it, because I know it's very critically acclaimed. Forgotten Beasts of Eld? No. Duncton Wood? No. I think a lot of these like 1980s and older books I'm probably not going to have read. Wizard's First Rule? No. No? No. No. Neverwhere? Yes. I have read Neverwhere. Graveyard Book? No. City and the City. Yes, City and the City. Oh my, it's so unique. City and the City is like, it's basically about two cities that occupy the same space. Not in like a multi-dimensional way, like they don't physically cross over. Like you can have a street where one side is one city and one side is the other, and it's more about how people like have to train themselves to not see other people. So it's sort of written in a way where you know, if you had enough control over the population, this could happen. So yeah, strange concept, and then you have this like detective story going through it. It's cool. There was apparently an adaptation, and I've not gotten around to watching it. Tender Morsels, no. Palimpsest by Catherine M. Ballant. I don't know that one. Shadow Year by Geoffrey Ford, no. I don't know that one. Boy's Life, I have heard of that one, no. The Yiddish Policeman's Union, no. Moon and Sun, no. Interview with the Vampire, I am pretty sure I read this as a teenager when we were all going through our vampire phases. I don't know, Dracula. No? Which one is this? Have I heard of this one? I don't think I've heard of that before. Interesting. Silent Land, no. 11/22/63. No. Oh! Is it that new? I thought it like came out last year. Why was everyone reading it last year? Yeah, that's really weird. I assumed it was brand new because suddenly everyone was reading it a year ago. No. Again, see my comment about Stephen King books over so many pages. The Killing Moon, no. Aleph the Unseen by G. Willow Wilson. I might have heard of it. I know G. Willow Wilson. She wrote Miss Marvel, and that was fantastic. So I feel like this should be top of my list. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and add that to my TBR because I love G. Willow Wilson. Nights at the Circus, so not the Night Circus, Nights at the Circus. It did come before that book, to be fair. No. Zoo City? This rings a bell, but no. Yeah, I kind of recognize that. The Darkest Rising sequence. Weave World. No. Dark Shade of Magic. No, I want to, and I came really close because I definitely went through a phase where I liked magic set in London, and that's like a whole genre in itself. So it's kind of amazing I never got around to reading this. I'm sure I will. Goblin Emperor, no. Sudden Appearance of Hope, no. Come on, give me one more yes before we finish off this list. Blackwing by Ed McDonald, no. Fantricide, no. The Chimes, no. Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, no. It was on my like summer TBR. and I didn't go around to it. It's there, it's waiting, it's on this shelf here. Oh god, there we go. There, is that one there? Middle Game by Seanan McGuire. Wow. No, we didn't get a last no. We got a last nearly. So, how well did I started off so well. So if we're looking at the top 20, let's say, there's only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 6 in the top 20 I haven't read. But let's count the total. 29. Or 29 out of the top 100. With most of them being right at the top. That's like nearly a third. Considering there's so many like older books in this list, it's not bad. But it has reminded me that there is still so much out there that I've not come across before, not heard about. So it has inspired me a little bit to come off, BookTube a bit more and explore other recommendations for books. But that was fun. Only took me 37 minutes. So I better leave it there. Were you keeping track? How many have you read? Please tell me in the comments below. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.